What's going on, everybody? What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Fourth and Goal Sports Show. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. Today, I'm going to be talking about the recent news that came out concerning the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals. The news has been out for a while now, but it's picking up pace. The announcement has been made. It's not official yet, but it's on pace to be made official. The Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals will be heading to Virginia. They will no longer be in Washington, D.C. This is big time news. And I'm just going to be sharing my opinion on this move, me personally. And please be sure to share in the comments your thoughts. But before we get started, please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page. But without further ado, let's discuss. So the news came out roughly about a month ago, probably early December, around that time, maybe even a little bit before that. The news came out that Ted Leonsis, owner of the Washington Wizards, Washington Capitals, was discussing moving the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals to Virginia. And, my initial thoughts back then was, what can DC do to keep these teams where they belong? I feel like Washington teams need to be in Washington, D.C. All of the Washington sports teams should play in Washington. That's how I feel. I feel like moving the Wizards and the Capitals to Virginia, it's clearly a money move. It's clearly a move in best interest of the business partners associated with those teams. This isn't a move that's in best interest of DC by any means. This isn't a move that's in best interest of the fans. I feel like majority of the fans, even the Virginia fans, if they're unbiased, the majority of the fans of these teams feel as though they need to stay where they are. That's how I feel. Let me know in the comments how you guys feel. But when it comes down to it, I know there's a lot of Washington Wizards fans, Washington Capitals fans in Virginia, and for the Commanders as well. A large percentage of the fan base of those teams, they're in Virginia. Yes, they're in Virginia. They're, big time supporters of those teams. And they have been complaining for years and years having to drive from VA to Maryland to DC. They've gone through those struggles. So now you flip the table. Their argument is that, okay, you flip the table. We went through that. Now you guys got to go through that. I understand that point. But like I said, I think it just goes back to Washington teams need to be in Washington. I know another argument stirring around from when it first kicked off was of the reasoning behind moving the team. I know it's financial reasoning behind that. And also there was a discussion of whether or not the area where Capital One Arena is, if it's safe enough in its area. I've heard rumors of crime and stuff. Me personally, I haven't experienced any crime. Me personally, I don't think it's a crime filled area. You have Capital One Arena in DC's Chinatown. Yes, there's outside people coming in. It's not just Chinatown. Yes, there's people traveling through the metro and all types of people there. But let's not try to act like DC's Chinatown is just some scary area that people just are so frightful to go to. If I'll put it like this: if you're afraid to go to Wizards and Capitals games because of DC's Chinatown, then you clearly haven't been to rough areas in Washington, D.C. There's clearly more rough areas than D.C.'s Chinatown. I promise you, D.C.'s Chinatown is the least of your worries when it comes to Washington, D.C. So you need to stop being soft and you need to grow up. But to be honest, I heard that claim. I thought it was weak, to be honest. That's how I feel. I thought that was weak. You want to talk about crime? There's crime everywhere. It's going to be crime, but I think the way that it was described was, I feel like it lacked context. Petty crimes is not going to ruin someone's game day experience. If we're on the metro and you got some people jumping over and not paying their ticket, that's a petty crime. But does it affect my experience at Capital One Arena? No, it doesn't. I mind my business and I go on my way. That's what you do. And so, to be honest, yes, I've seen the petty crimes that happen in that area. I've seen that stuff happen, but to act as though it's an extreme issue, an extreme problem that just goes overlooked, no, that's not. It's an exaggeration on the people who have that opinion's part. I feel as though we need to call this what it is. The Capitals, the Wizards, they are cornerstone franchises when it comes to DMV sports. But when it comes down to it, they need to be where they belong, in the places they represent. Washington needs to be in Washington. And to be honest, on the fan level of this conversation, I don't know about y'all, but who's really going to go out of their way to drive from Maryland or from DC to Virginia to go see the Wizards play? I mean, they're terrible. They've been terrible for ever since they traded John Wall. They haven't been the same ever since, they split up John Wall, Bradley Beal. They haven't been the same. We had that short period with Russ and Brad. They got us to the playoffs, but that didn't last long. You saw how short that lasted. But when it comes down to it, they're worrying about business moves in the front office. What they need to be worried about is putting a respectful team, a respectful display of basketball on that court. And I can't speak so much for the Capitals because the Capitals are much more respectable than teams like, the Wizards, Commanders, and so forth when it comes to strictly that sport, strictly that game, right? But here's the problem. Wizards fans, as a Wizards fan, and I can speak for many, I'm not going to speak for all, but I can speak for many. The biggest problem with this team is its lack of direction, its lack of roster building. I mean, we've been having the same conversation about this team for what feels like the last 6 years now. And the owner, he's worried about getting business acquisitions, real estate in Virginia. That's cool. That's great for him. That's great for Virginia, and their governor. He's doing great. He's doing great things to get them, things that will produce revenue in their state, in that area. But when it comes down to it, moving the Washington Wizards and the Washington Capitals to VA, I feel as though it's going to be a detrimental move to fans like myself in Maryland, fans like, who are in Washington, D.C. It's a detrimental move, and it's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. But in conclusion, I just want to say thank you guys for watching. Please be sure to like, comment, share, subscribe, as well as follow to the Fourth and Goal Sports Instagram page. I'm your host, Tyrus Filson. Have a blessed day. Peace.